Afternoon and good evening to everybody listening to Radio Works World. I'm Louise K Shaw, the Body Whisperer, and I have the pleasure of sharing this platform with Marina Nani. Hello, Marina, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here. Oh my God, Louise, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what we are talking about today. There will be great conversations. Join us, get in touch with us. Louise is going to give it all. Just be ready. Take pen and paper. Over to you, Louise.
Thank you so much, Marina. So, what I've wanted to do today, over the last couple of episodes, what I've been doing is sharing with the listeners the concept of whispering and how I've actually become known as the Body Whisperer. And over a last session, I actually discussed how I use the acronym WHISPER and the concepts that I use with my clients in order for them to actually live a life free of pain, whether that's emotional or physical pain. And yesterday, I talked in a bit more detail about our heart being one of the three brains that we have available to us and how sophisticated our hearts are at giving and receiving information. And one of the points that I made in that talk was how to get the heart on your side. Because if the heart is the leader of the pack, then it would be a really good idea to make sure that you're friends with the leader. And so then that got me thinking, and I looked through some of the questions that people were asking on my website and on the Facebook pages, and they were saying they still don't understand all of the entirety around the subconscious and conscious mind, and they wanted a little bit more information on that. So what I thought today, we'll talk in a bit more detail about the subconscious mind and also the conscious mind, because I really do think that this is the key to anybody making any changes in their lives. And it's so important. I'm sitting there this morning and I was thinking, why didn't we get taught this at school? Because if we were taught the power of the conscious mind and the power of the subconscious mind and how incredibly powerful they can be when they work together, that would just solve so many problems that people experience through their lives, and people could start achieving much more. Because I recognize, that most of us spend a lot of our time fighting, when everybody's you're setting an intention to set a goal, or you want something and you don't get it, then you get frustrated, and there's a lot of anxiety around that. And if we knew how the conscious mind and the subconscious mind work together, then that would alleviate a lot of those feelings of frustration. And so what I wanted to do today was pretty much like I did yesterday, just give us some more facts around the conscious mind and subconscious mind, just so we still come from a good place to start. And what I just wanted to just recap really from the talks over the last couple of days is the fact that the conscious mind is the creative mind. And the point to remember here is that the conscious mind functions in the past and the future. And by that, what I mean is, if I was to say to you, what did you do last Tuesday? Well, you'll be able to sit there and think about what did you do last Tuesday. So then what you've done is you've gone into the past. Equally, if I was to say to you, what are you going to do next Friday? You're going to sit there and think, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. So you've creatively thought about what you're going to do in the future. So that's what I mean when I say it's creative and it's past and future. By contrast, the subconscious mind is only ever in the present. It can't go past or present. It can't go past or future. It's only in the present. And the key here is to know that it's habitual. So it will only be doing things that have been programmed into it. And so, for example, when you woke up this morning, you didn't have to think, okay, heart, I want you to pump some blood around my body. And lungs, I need you to go in and out to get me some air in. And legs, I want you to get out of bed. You didn't have to do that because your body is already doing that. It already understands its role in making your body work. But the other thing about the subconscious mind is the fact that it's like a recorder. And I mentioned the other day about how we actually set the record button from 0 to 6, and in actual fact all through our life. But the main point is between 0 and 6, because between 0 and 6, you will just be downloading everything. And when I say downloading, it's like recording. You're going to record everything around you in your environment. You're going to record other people's beliefs. You're going to record other people's behaviors, and you're going to just record them, put them into your subconscious mind. There'll be no filtering out of whether anything's good or bad. It will just be given to you. And why this is really important to understand is the fact that if you're recording from 0 to 6 and you're not differentiating between what's good and bad, well, all through your life, you're going to be tapping back into those recordings, whether you like it or not. And so this is where when you start setting goals, if you consciously want to achieve something, but you've got a program that was recorded from an early age that is contrary to you being able to achieve it, then it's not going to happen, or it's going to be really difficult for you to achieve it. And I just wanted to sort of talk a little bit more about how our conscious and subconscious operate. For example, how many of you have got a mobile phone? And with that mobile phone, going from one building to another, or going from home to work, whatever it is, how many of you have ever been looking at your mobile phone, or your cell phone if you're in the States? How many of you have been looking at it, walking along, text messaging somebody, or looking at a video, or reading emails, whatever it is, you're doing something else other than walking? So what's actually happening here is that your subconscious mind, your subconscious part of your body, is making you walk. You're not having to stop every time you want to put a foot forward. You're able to consciously do what you're doing on your mobile phone, but your body's running the show behind the scenes. So when you actually are focused on something, your subconscious mind kicks in. And so why this is important is that you've got to make sure that actually what's running in the subconscious mind is actually going to support you and is actually going to be a good program for you. Now, research has actually shown that 5% of our actions are carried out by the conscious mind, and 95% of our actions are carried out by the subconscious mind. So again, here's more proof that the weight is with the subconscious mind. And it's your conscious mind has only got 5% of the actual actions that it's doing. So another example, just to get you another concept here, is, sometimes when you're talking with somebody and you may be in an argument or having some cross words, and that person says something to you and you say, God, you know what, you're really like your mom, or you're really like your father. Well, that's because you probably are, because actually what you've done is you've picked up a program or a behavior that your parents were doing, and you would have recorded that from an early age. So what I just wanted to impress upon you is the fact that quite often we don't realize the power with our two minds. We forget about how powerful the subconscious is. And when we really understand that the majority of what we do is run by something that is in our subconscious, then it's really important to understand, and it's really important to make sure that whatever's going into the subconscious is going to support us and is actually going to resource us for whatever we want to achieve. Now, what I wanted to do here, just wanted to, why is this so important? I mean, I keep on impressing upon why is it so important, but the point is, if your subconscious mind will be having beliefs, etc., about a multitude of things. And I'll just give you an example of something, a client's situation that I was told about. It's not my client, but somebody I was told about, an example that they did actually give permission to share. And this was this gentleman. He was actually trying to lose weight. And he tried absolutely everything. He was going on diets, he was changing his food, he was going to the gym, he was doing all of this exercise, and absolutely nothing was changing. And it was only when he actually thought, right, okay, I need some other intervention here because it just doesn't make sense. Why, with all of this work that he was doing, he wasn't losing any of the weight. So he actually started some hypnotherapy and some other energy psychology techniques. And what actually came out of this, which was really fascinating to me, and this is, I heard this right at the start of my career in this line of work, and this was, they went back to him being in the womb, and he had a sense that in the womb there was another embryo, there was another baby in the womb. Now he was an only son, so he was sitting there thinking, well, hold on, that doesn't make sense because I don't have a sibling. But actually, in this particular session, what came out was the fact that he did have a twin. He actually had a twin, but the twin passed away in the womb. And what he made a belief in that moment was that if he had been able to eat for two or take on the nourishment for two, then that baby would have survived, his sibling would have survived. Now, this is how powerful this can be, because that was in the womb. Now, when he came out of the session, he just was like absolutely bowled over by this, because he was like, I just don't understand how that could have happened because I don't have a twin. Anyway, he went home and he phoned his mom and he said, do you have any idea whether I was a twin? And she'd never mentioned it, but she actually said and confirmed that actually he did have a twin and that the twin had died in the womb. But the important thing of this whole story is the fact that in that moment, he'd made the decision that if he was able to eat for two, then he would have been able to keep his sibling alive. Now, what he was doing in real life was eating for two, because he had this belief that he had to be able to eat for two to keep his sibling alive, but his sibling obviously wasn't alive. Now, that's happened in the womb, but there are plenty of other examples with people who've made decisions about things between 0 and 6, which are impacting their lives now. And I can talk firsthand about this because there was a situation not so long ago, I think it was about a year and a half ago. And I always brought apples. I buy apples every time I go to the grocery store. And I always buy the apples and I always put them in my fruit bowl. But 2 or 3 days later, they're always going into the compost. And I'm thinking, I was sitting there thinking, what on earth is going on here? Why is it that I'm always buying these apples? Because I think that they're good for me and I should be eating them. But why do I always end up throwing them away? Why don't I eat them? So I did a bit of exploration and sort of did some work on myself. And it transpires that I took myself back to a memory of when I was a baby. We're at a picnic and I was reaching over. I could see myself, everything so clearly. I was with my brothers. I reached over for a piece of cake. My mum slapped my hand and said, no, you're not having that. You're having this. And she gave me an apple. And in that moment, I decided that anything that I really, really want, I can't have. But more importantly, I don't want apples, even though they're good for me, because my mum told me I had to have that apple because it was good for me. So by uncovering that and the energy around it and the belief that I made as a child, as a baby, a toddler really, I was able to clear all of that, clear the perception, clear what was going on, and a whole load of things came out of that session. But now I buy apples and I eat them because I no longer have the belief that, I believe that I can have anything I want, really. And at the end of the day, the apple isn't the demon for me anymore, whereas it was before. So this is how interesting this whole work gets when you start to think about what your beliefs are and how they're stopping you moving forward. And the thing is, little tip here, you already know that you've got some beliefs that aren't working for you, because when you're thinking about doing something or you want to achieve something, if you haven't got it yet and you're feeling very stressed out or frustrated, that we use the phrase go 1 step forward, 5 steps back. If you've ever felt that or had those thoughts, then the chances are that your subconscious mind has got a contrary belief to you, what your conscious mind actually wants. And in a very similar way, you'll know when you've actually got your both minds working in the same direction, because that's the time when, when you've actually thought about doing something and it just comes to you so easily. People appear, you'll be able to write quickly, everything just flows. That's because your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are working together. They're working for the same outcome. And another thing just to be aware of, I don't know how many of the listeners actually saw the film The Secret. It was really one of the really main points in that whole film for me was really recognizing the fact that when you have an intention, when you have a goal that you want to achieve, it's no good just thinking about it, because if you're thinking about it, it's just in your conscious mind. What you really need to tap into is your feeling about it, your emotions behind wanting that. And there's a really key point here, because your subconscious mind will magnify everything if there's an emotion attached to it. So that's why it's so important. If you want to achieve something, if you want to have something, it's to really tap into the emotion behind what you're going to feel when you have that, and actually be that emotion, because then you'll draw that into you. You'll draw the circumstance that will be required in order for you to achieve that goal. So it's no good just thinking about something, because that's just your conscious mind. And when you feel, it taps into the habitual side much, much quicker. And that's the real power. And that's one of the things which I think was so key within The Secret, is the fact that you have to feel what it's going to feel like when you get that goal, or that whatever it is that you want. So I thought that was, I think that's probably a good place to leave it, Marina, because I could talk for hours on this. But yes. What I just wanted to really impress upon people is to start being aware of what's going on within yourself. And, we talk very much about your thoughts create your reality. Well, if your reality, and whether that's external to you or internal, isn't what you want, then it's to start trying to figure out what it is that you believe about the reality that you want. And is that belief really supporting you? And it obviously isn't if you haven't achieved it. And to start thinking about, okay, well, where did that come from? So just as probably as an easy example for people to use, when most people think about money, or they want more wealth, etc., I would just ask people to think, what is your real belief about wealth? What is your real belief about having money in your life? Now, over the years, I've heard many things from clients, and that is anything that comes from, money grows on trees, money doesn't grow on trees. People who are rich are evil. People who've made it walk all over people. There's quite a lot of negative connotation around money. But if you think about money being an energy, if you've got a negative or an unresourceful belief behind money, then try and understand where that's come from, and start to do the work around and changing that belief. Start doing, find a practitioner, somebody that can help you with it. But it's really getting to the real. It's no good just thinking consciously what your beliefs are. Very much like the apple and the cake for me. I could have said I didn't want to eat apples just because I didn't want to eat apples, but I would never in a million years have come or realised that it was because my mom slapped my hand and told me that I couldn't have the cake and I had to have the apple. So that's a sort of an example that you could do. Start thinking about where your beliefs have come from, who gave you those beliefs. And it's not about blame, it's just understanding, because the whole work that I do with my clients is start to make them aware and start to bring them into conscious awareness of what's going on. Because as soon as you can do that, then you can start making the changes. But it's when it's hidden or you're ignoring it or don't want to approach it, it's difficult to actually make any changes from there. So over to you, Marina.
Wow, Louise. I love the way you explain everything as if it's very simple, because it is. And the way I look at this, just as summarize it all for our listeners who perhaps took lots of notes, because I did, is that your conscious mind is the one that determines the actions.
Yes.
And the standards of your living are determined by your thinking, the standards of your thinking.
Yeah.
So when you are in two minds about something, this is where everything, the challenge starts, because it's like driving a car. You signal left and then you turn right. So of course it's going to be a crash. But like you said, when they work, they're aligned, your subconscious mind, which is responsible for your actions, and your unconscious mind, which is responsible for the reactions, everything start happening, like in your life, like in my life. So it's the conscious mind that messes things up, everything. Because you are so stuck into your actions you did in the past, and you could only imagine that the same thing will happen in a future. But guess what? There will be no change if you keep doing the same thing. You'll have the same results.
Exactly.
And it is really helping to start living your life in under the same roof, under the same dream, under the same vision. So your subconscious mind and your unconscious mind, that are working together like one amazing engine of dreams. And have the end in mind. Why are you doing what you are doing? Why you are who you are? You don't like it, you can change it, reinvent it. It's nobody to be and stay between you and your dream. It's nobody to tell your mind who you might be. It's just you. So I think
exactly. And
yes.
sorry, and what I was going to say there is, when you understand that, you take control back, and you start taking control of your life, rather than it being it's something out there that's causing it, or something in here that's causing it. It's everything is down to you. And I think one of the greatest moments for me was when I really got the point that everything in my life is my responsibility. Absolutely everything, down to how my day is going to be, how my health is going to be, what situations are going to come into my life, what opportunities are going to come into my life. Everything is my responsibility, because everything comes from my internal computer. And I'm making real sure that my computer is programmed with the right stuff, because I now recognize how powerful this subconscious mind is, and you really want to be friends with it. So start to understand what it's already thinking, and you can do that by watching what your reality is, because if it's not what you really want, you know that there's some conflict there. And then start doing the work. I talked in the previous one about relationship capital, and the first person to make the relationship with is you. Start talking to yourself, and I don't mean that in a going down the street. Well, maybe you can, but
why not?
Why not?
Do that if you feel the need. So Louise, is this the key message here is that take responsibility for who you are. Stop being the effect, the result of other people's intentions. Create the cause of your life. Be the cause of your life. I know we are running out of time already.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the clock.
Yay.
And people could connect with you, they could find you, they could contact us, they could join our next conversations, because there are always going to be next great conversations with Louise. And I'm so grateful for our listeners finding the time and enjoying the magic you bring into the show. Thank you so much from both of us. Until next time, is over to you, Louise.
Marina, thank you so much, and thank you to the listeners for today. If you want to find out any more information, please just go to my website, louisekshaw.com. So thank you, listeners. Have a lovely day wherever you are in the world. Thank you,
Goodbye.
Marina.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.